G'day YouTubers, and thank you for tuning in to today's very hot and humid video on YouTube. And yes, as I'm making this video, lo and behold, I've got actually a big water flask, because obviously it is very hot. I actually have got some ice cubes. That's why it's making a bit of sounds like that. I need to drink. Obviously, it is so hot. Obviously, it is exceptionally hot, like 33 degrees. It's basically like the average temperature for Malaysia. But unfortunately, as I hear so many police cars and fire engines and ambulances all around this area here and the rest of Europe, Western Europe more specifically, it's putting a lot of pressure to the of this country and also around Europe. I suppose I'm not going to sound absolutely racist. If I did, well, I would have been completely and utterly demonetized, and it would never ever be on my YouTube channel. And lo and behold, we have got one of the dwarf sunflowers blossoming into its absolute prime time peak. I'm actually really glad and finally happy to see why I've been so lucky to get this sunflower to blossom as it should. That is fantastic. I'll tell you what, there's a lot of nasturtiums here. The soil has actually started to desiccate throughout a periodic amount of time because I've been watering it like twice this morning because of extreme heat. A lot of calendula seedlings, I've actually been watering them quite a lot, and yes, what I can do is don't water them during the afternoon, because if I start watering them around the afternoon, straight would start to wilt even more, and thus attracting a lot more slugs, snails, and other nasty critters. Of course, there's also some bad news along the way, hey? But hey, there's a pea seedling. Unfortunately, I think the peas have done relatively bad. They've been disappointing because obviously the seedlings themselves, they're just never ever gonna really work. I'll talk about it later on. But look at this majestic dwarf size. This is actually a dwarf sunflower that I've just it was actually around back in May, or was it April? I can't really tell. I'm not quite totally sure when I've actually started to plant this majestic thing. It's quite a very flower, and I'll tell you what, I've got so many nasturtiums surrounding the big sized sunflower, and I'm actually happy to have so many plant pots, I have to say, hey? Some pumpkins, yes, the giant pumpkin seedling is also doing very well. It's actually formulating quite a lot of pumpkin buds. They haven't started to blossom just yet. Man, I tell you what, surrounded by a vast swathe of nasturtiums and calendulas, which is just wonderful to see. Going around, it's actually quite a lot of seedlings around here as well. Also, some seedlings. Now, that's one thing I've actually forgot to try and do. I need to try and water these things. And I mean, even though they are growing fairly well, the compost itself is actually desiccating. Like, if I would have put it towards like direct sunlight, they're not actually going to do very well. Thus, if I try and fill it up with like cold water, I wonder what the effects are going to be like. I don't think that might be very good. That might not be great. It might probably die of frostbite, but then I don't really care because I'm not really sorry, I should have just said I don't know why, because I'm not sure if it's going to be a very good or bad prediction of how this is all going to come out. Oops, we've got a calendula seedling that's fleed away from its plant pot. I'm suspecting that this one is probably going to really die, probably because it's been way too close. I might have to probably give this another water. Actually, you know what? Let's give this thing a nice water. What is with the frames? What in the bloody hell is with my tablet? It just always seems to lapse from one frame to the other. That's freaking annoying. Give me a flipping break. Right, sorry. My tablet just loves to really when it comes to like filming and stuff. It's like when I'm recording, all of a sudden extrapolates from one frame to the other. That's very sinister of it. Ooh, that's a very beautiful looking. Got a lot of bees as well, wasps, hoverflies, and other critters coming to pollinate, because obviously, well, yes, I tell you what, that is amazing seeing so many nasturtiums. Tell you what, I'm not really surprised seeing how many nasturtiums, or should I just say, I'm surprised of how I'm almost curious to see. Yes, I can see a yellow nasturtium flower. That does appear a lot more orange. If I turn the brightness on, it does appear yellow. Or maybe if I get a little bit closer and start to, manhandle that thing. It's the yellow one with the red marking on its petals. It's actually doing very, very good in the summer heat because obviously they are said to be drought tolerant. There's more. Okay, we've got a calendula seedling and a cornflower seedling. They are growing pretty well, I suppose. Let's just hope that hope is not lost on these two. Unfortunately, this pea seedling has wilted, and as you can see, it's on its last legs, unfortunately, because of the hot, dry weather. I think I might be way too close to direct sunlight. Maybe if I put them in the shade, that would have been better instead of putting it into direct sunlight. The strawberries, they've been, but again, it's like with many other plants being planted directly into the afternoon sunlight. That's really going to hamper the performance of these plants growing and stuff. Some more sunflower activity here, and actually, yes, I did transplant that during just around the time, I think it was way before when Bonnie Tyler has passed away, if you remember that video that I spoke about, which was really disappointing and really saddening, and actually really, really grieving because I really loved her music. Okay, that was the most important thing I really loved to say about, of course. Anyways, we've got more pumpkin seedlings, and I tell you what, these ones have grown really, really big. And actually, this one here, it's going fine. Oh my goodness, I can't. Finally, it's actually going really, really tall. Sorry, I don't want to swear here, because if I did swear, I'll be demonetized. I don't want to say the F word, because if I did, I'll be, as I said earlier on before, demonetized. Okay, we've got more pumpkin vines, as you can see, hey. That's pretty awesome to see, hey. It's very magical when you see pumpkin seedlings do that, and sprouting out their massive vines and their tendrils on the sides, of course, and the pumpkin flower buds. I'm not sure how good or bad they're going to be like, because the positions of the pumpkins are going to be like, because I might probably talk about how the pumpkin work once they start to blossom, and that tablet is doing that annoying frame extrapolation thing, which I really hate. There's more calendulas right here, different colour varieties. I tell you what, best thing I seem to do is that when they have flowered towards the end of their cycle, and when they're about to turn into a seed head, I can just basically deadhead them to prolong the periodic amount of time. Some of the nasturtiums as well, they've also had their last legs of flower. These two flower heads, of course, which some of them have got like seed heads, as I could have kept, but hey, no worries for that. Tell you what, the nasturtiums, I can give them a tick. Yes, the tomato seedlings, they've also been very, very good as well. And same with that calendula pear. The small one's pretty good, and so is the large one as well too. Though I do think this one here has actually it's probably not that great. Who knows? I'm pretty sure that the calendulas are often made entirely when, well, let's just say, the flowers have really reached the life cycle. Their ending, I suppose. Say, who knows about that? And there's a nice, harder bumblebee penetrating inside the flower. Or is it a bee fly? Backwards as well too. It's like a hummingbird crossed with a bee. Or fly. Actually, it's called a bee fly because it's got the long proboscis. It doesn't have any stingers at the back. Or maybe I'm totally not wrong. Maybe it could be just a bee. Or it's just, I don't know. It's a bee that is mimicking something else. I know someone who's just coughing. I'm not really sure about that. I'm not into entomology. As, let's just say, I love entomology, but I'm not. Sorry, I don't want to really sound like a complete another smart aleck. Again, we've got the sunflower seedlings. What is going on with my brightness on the tablet? And then the audacity of my tablet just extrapolate from one frame to another is freaking annoying. So what? Around here, sorry, I just don't want to rant here, because obviously we've got more nasturtiums here as well. Fastfully, of course, at times. Another sunflower seedling which has decided to sprout out petals. again. What the hell is wrong with my tablet? It just really wants to extrapolate. I don't want to get too peeved, because obviously if I did, well then that's gonna make me even more hotter. More pumpkin seedlings. As you can see, we've got a big row, and yes, as I said earlier on before, they are sprouting out lots and lots of flower buds, which is just and utterly amazing. And the crow has decided to interrupt my videos, but then hey, the tour is not that completely over. I can see some broad beans, and oh my crikey, Charlie, the size of these beans. Oh yes, look at that. Seemingly not to be too big. I think that's where they're from. These types of beans, they look very, very nice, don't they? Very wonderful in the way they've been planted. And then, of course, yes, I can see another broad bean, which I don't think has... Well, let me just see the other one. I'm actually curious to see the one that's been on a pot. I think it's just sprouted out and flourished out some beans. And then on the other side, we've got more nasturtiums. I haven't really talked about this nasturtium in the meadow as well, with the poppies and whatnot. And there's the banana peels, which have been turned out. Obviously, they've been dried out because of the heat wave that we're having at the moment. Another calendula. What is going on? My tablet always does that all over again. It just keeps on extrapolating either sound or visualities and things like that, which is not very good. Okay, not very good news. We have got a pumpkin seedling which has unfortunately wilt in the blistering summer sunlight, and I might have to also harvest these onions, because I have a sneaky suspicion that these two have been planted and when they have actually been planted so close in the sunlight, oh man, that's not very good news at all. But nevertheless, hey, who knows? I could probably harvest that one out, because obviously, yeah, I might actually want to harvest that thing out, because it's probably going to be on its last legs. Tell you what, that onion is actually pretty good. It's one thing I tell you. There's more of that green stuff inside here, eh? Nah. Anyways, I'm just going to probably put that inside of my fridge so I can keep it nice and cool, as always, on a hot day. And there's the animal bowls, which I've filled up with water because it's been very hot so far. Flower seedling, in fact a pair of them, they've actually just sported out some flower buds. And at least the soil or the compost in that bucket is actually nice and moist. I mean, that's really nice to hear about it. As long as it's also in the shade, that's also going to be highly protected. And it seems like, as I'm about to conclude this backyard gardening tour, because it is a very hot day outside. But anyways, I should probably find some relief from the scorching sun, as always, as per usual. It's been a week of some hot weather, but we've got some really interesting things I might show you around here. We've got some potato seedlings, and look at that, they've actually relatively tall, and at the same time, I'm also starting to see some blossom buds, and that tablet is doing that annoying thing all over again. Nasty. But anyways, yes, a lot of potato seedlings have decided to grow relatively tall, and hopefully they should probably flower out like they should be. They spawn their beautiful looking potato blossoms. As strange as this sounds, hey, that's going to be rather relatively interesting as we extrapolate towards, late summer and autumn, and also, like, mid-autumn, because I'm quite curious to see how these crops are really going to turn out. And here I am at the shade, right at where the shed is. Thank goodness I'm finally cooling myself down. But I need to drink some water, Seriously, it's been way too hot this week so far. I think next week should be warm. It should be slightly hot, but I wouldn't say it's going to be as hot as this week. Hopefully, with some massive thunderstorms, I'm hoping to get some rain next week, because we haven't had that much rain so far throughout this early July. And there's a couple of butterflies. Are these cabbage white butterflies? I haven't really quite worked out my entomology. And guess what? Yeah, you may have never ever realized, I've seen a lot of dried up roses. Oh my. That's a weird sight, but then hey, that's the fate of nature. When nature endures times, and What the hell? Come on, flippin' tablet frames. Stop extrapolating. Sorry, it always seems to happen on my tablet. It always seems to, like, freeze and then come back as a new frame. It's just flippin' annoying. But anyway, yeah, I think that's going to be about it for this video, hey? You know, with times of rain, times of heat, times of cold, you know, times of dryness, times of windiness, hey, there's quite a lot of phenomenon happening here. And who knows, by the second half of this month, I'm hoping to get a decent amount of rainfall because it's been way too dry and the plants really desperately need some. Also, you know, not just backyard gardens, but all other commodities really need it. You know, reservoirs, rivers, you know, freshwater wetlands, saltwater wetlands, everywhere needs water. You know, humans and animals and all parts of planet Earth really depend on water. That's the most important thing I need to moralize and to, well, I would hate to like say, hey, I could just this video and call it a kaput type video, because if it was a kaput type video, then I won't be showing evidence. Anyways, I should probably leave this video here. I'm way too hot, but if you really enjoyed this video, please leave a good like, subscribe for more flat videos in the future, and as always, thanks so much for watching, and bye for now. It's more of the day. Onions have layers. That was a reference. And I can't even end the video.